La presentación, sí.
Vale, a ver.
Muy bien, se ve bien, sí.
¿Se ve bien? ¿Se pasa?
Sí,
Sí, sí, perfecto.
Vale, perfecto,
Sí, sí,
porque a
perfecto.
veces se queda pillado y no termina de pasar.
Sí, no, pero en esta ocasión está muy bien,
Vale, perfecto.
muy clara. Esperamos un minuto o dos para que vaya llegando la gente.
Vale.
Azul. Eso es para controlar el volumen del sonido aquí en el map. Hay aquí una cosa.
Sí, pero procura ponerte los auriculares, Chema. Porque...
Sí, por eso quiero ahora. Sí. So, good morning. We are starting. The lecture today is in charge of Cristina Peñasco. Cristina Peñasco is lecturer in public policy in the Department of Politics and International Studies and in the Center for the Energy, Environmental and Natural Resources Governance at the University of Cambridge. in British households or in English households. So thank you very much for being here, Cristina. It's a pleasure for us that you are with us. So I pass you the floor, and at the end of your presentation, we will have the opportunity to discuss or to debate some issues concerning your presentation. Thank you very much again. I pass you the floor.
Perfect. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Great. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. I will be talking, as you know, from the program about energy efficiency, specifically in I would like to say a very particular case study, which is the UK in this case. Why the UK? Well, I will be explaining a little bit what are the particularities of this case, apart from the fact that I'm living now in the country. But it's a very particular case because of one reason, and I will detail a little bit about it later on. I will start, of course, with a motivation. Let's see if this moves. It moves.
Yes.
Okay, great. I will start with a quick motivation, as I mentioned, to move to a more specific review of the literature. And I'm sorry I couldn't share with you the actual paper, but it's almost done, work in progress. And we are about to send it to a journal, but you have been able to see a couple of references similar or working in the same topic that I'm going to present. So I will talk a little bit about this review of the literature, where we are in terms of energy efficiency, of rebound effects, and so on. The hypothesis that we are working with. Which methodology are we using? Because in case of the analysis of energy efficiency or the evaluation of policies, it's relevant in order to establish these causal effect relationships to stop a little bit on the methodology and some preliminary results that we are covering. So one of the things that we know, I'm not going to put this yet. One of the things that we know is that improving energy efficiency is vital to ensure a sustainable, affordable, and secure energy system. Is one of the pillars in which the decarbonization of the economy and all these plans for decarbonization is based on. And if I ask you how much the residential sector represents in the total final energy consumption of a country, what would you say? So most of the times we have the impression that the energy sector is the one that consumes the most, that the transport sector represents a lot as well in the final energy consumption of energy in a country. But actually, the domestic sector, the residential sector, is one of the highest contributors in terms of energy and energy consumption. So probably you've covered these kind of figures already in the last days, but I wanted to emphasize this part. So the residential sector represents, on average, in the OECD countries, around 19% of the total final consumption of energy. But this figure in the UK is way bigger. So the consumption of the residential sector out of the total final energy consumption reaches one of the highest percentages in Europe, in the UK, with almost a 30% of the total final energy consumption, from 18%, 19% in OECD countries on average to 30%. And we know, according to the International Energy Agency, as I said, that increasing energy efficiency in buildings represents one of the most cost-effective ways to improve energy security and reduce environmental damages from the current energy system. However, more and more, it's assumed that reducing energy demand through greater efficiency even if it can help the UK to meet its climate and energy targets, reduce the energy bills, fight fuel poverty, among other benefits, is not an easy task. In the UK, in order to meet these climate and energy efficiency targets and reduce the energy consumption, the government has put in place in the last year several energy efficiency related policies. I summarized that, tried to summarize that in the figure. However, policymakers are not achieving the results expected from the implementation of these energy saving policies in buildings. The UK government has set up as well heating and housing benefits that may influence both the energy consumption and the expenditure in households. And the focus of those policies have been mostly vulnerable households. That's an important bit, and we will see later why I'm mentioning or giving this attention to vulnerable households. The last round of help that the government has put in place took place last September 2020. The UK government presented the last scheme called the Green Home Grant. Sorry, it's here, this last part of the graph. The goal pursued by the government in that case was to improve energy efficiency of over 600,000 homes, but they had to cancel the program. There were not enough number of applications, and in those cases in which there were applications, the results were not the expected ones. So the UK government keeps invested in energy efficiency, technical measures, but what we see and what research says is that these type of measures in terms of effectiveness, so when we are talking about this measure, we're talking about retrofitting measures, insulation, for example, is not effective in transforming 100% of saving potential, mostly due to the impact of rebound effects associated to occupants' behaviors. So that's the main issue that we should tackle. Why or in which sense we are not getting the results we expect. Of course, the government, when they put in place these policies, they make these ex-ante evaluations, ex-ante appraisal analysis, try to see which are the expected energy savings and the expected CO2 emission reductions. And when this is put in place, the results are not as the ones shown by ex-ante evaluation. There is this divergence between ex-ante and ex-post analysis. So the aim of this work basically is to shed light on the extent to which technical energy efficiency improvements, I will be talking specifically about the installation of two types of technical energy efficiency measures, loft insulation and cavity walls, are associated by changes in residential energy consumption. And more importantly, what we try to do in this paper, and I say we because I'm working with Professor Laura Díaz-Anadón on this, is what are the dynamic effects of the installation of such measures and the lasting effects of the energy consumption. If actually, after the households have put in place this policy, this technical efficiency measure, the reduction in consumptions stays in time and they are more or less permanent. We also try to assess the degree of sensitivity of the household energy consumption to changes in energy prices and the groups. That's why I mentioned at the beginning the highlight vulnerable households that benefits the most or the less from the energy efficiency measures, with the goal of trying to understand how to design better policies to reduce this residential energy use in a cost-effective way, but also in an affordable manner for such households. So we try to contribute to the available evidence in different ways. So with the analysis, we are focusing on gas consumption patterns in the UK at the micro level, with a pretty much large panel of households of more than 50,000 dwellings. In this case, it's important to take into account the specific consideration of energy use for heating. There is a huge debate these days in the UK about where are we going in terms of decarbonization in households in the residential sector, if we are going to decarbonize through energy efficiency measures, or if we are going to decarbonize through a change or an electrification of the households. And that is a very tricky part, because 85% of the households in the UK use gas as a heating source. So there is a lot on this vein lately. And there has been a lot of focus on electricity, but much less on heating. However, as I mentioned, probably one of the most important contributions of the analysis, or what we expect to contribute to, is to the analysis of these long-lasting effects of the energy efficiency technical improvements in the buildings, with specifically observational and exposed data, with an event study. And we will try as well to segmentate the sample to see, as I mentioned, if there are differences depending on the characteristics of the households. The idea of exposed data is very relevant, because I will be covering in the literature review later on. There has been a lot with simulations, a lot of work analyzing what could happen, but there hasn't been that much about what actually happens. So that is one of the gaps that we are trying to cover too. The figure that you see now in the slide is basically the framework, or the theoretical framework, the traditional, what we call the Jevons paradox. This is a very, very old paradox that states that in the long term, an increase in efficiency in a resource use, in this case, specifically energy or gas, which is what I am analyzing, will generate an increase in resource consumption rather than a decrease. And in economics, this has traditionally been analyzed in terms of what we call the rebound effects. So basically, if your source of energy in this case is cheaper, or you can spend more because it's cheaper, or you can spend more in other uses because this other or first use is cheaper as well. So you have more available income to spend in other stuff that may be generating a higher level of energy consumption as a whole. There is a direct effect, there is an indirect effect. I will not focus today in indirect effects. I will mostly focus on which part of the savings that we could be expecting we are actually getting. So, as I mentioned, the literature has been pretty prolific in exploring the impact of household energy efficiency technical improvements on energy consumption with ex-ante assessments, using different techniques, including in economics general equilibrium models, microeconomic demand system models, input-output models. For example, one of the last contributions regarding the potential of energy savings in household sector in the UK has been Rosno. Professor Rosno is one of the popes of this in the UK, who estimates the lifetime energy savings associated to different levels of deployment of energy efficiency technologies up to 2035, which is one of the goals in the UK for a fully decarbonized, in this case, electricity sector. And with a few notable exceptions, we have found that there is a gap in the literature in terms of these exposed evaluations of the changes in actual residential energy consumption that follows the implementation of different energy efficiency technical improvements. The evaluation of actual energy savings and the factors that may influence residential energy consumption or the impact of different energy efficiency measures is very timely, particularly given the perceived policy failures in the residential energy efficiency space. There has been some countries, like for example, Italy, that are considered kind of successful in the establishment of energy efficiency technologies. Many households in Italy, for example, has smart meters now. In the UK, they try to put in place this smart meter implementation program. They projected that every household and a small business across the UK would have installed a smart meter by 2020. And what we saw is that by 2017, there was around 10% of households with smart meters. So there were not the number of households that were targeted were not actually implementing this type of measures. So that was just a small example. While there is significant research on the factors determining the adoption of energy efficiency measures, research has found that there is no conclusive evidence detailing the extent to which the differences between the expected energy savings and the realized ones might be related to social challenges, consumer resistance, maybe caused by rebound effects of policy-induced improvements, vulnerability of the households, and so on. In addition to the rebound effect, many energy efficiency measures are implemented alongside other home improvements that may be associated with increases in energy consumption, such extensions, for example, which are very, very popular in the UK. This is another of the particularities of this case. The UK has a very old stock of housing stock, and the combination of this old housing stock, the rebound effect, and the possible correlation between the energy efficiency measure implementation and other building works at the same time may lead to an increase of energy use when taken together. In addition to that, the literature, the evidence indicates that we may also expect differences in the energy consumption of households after adopting a particular measure for different income levels. This is when fuel poverty starts playing a role. For example, some previous studies have observed much higher rebound effects in low-income households for improvements in heating technologies. So understanding the response to energy efficiency technical improvements in different type of households, vulnerable versus rich, is very relevant for policy making, as most of the energy efficiency programs, as I mentioned in the first slide, have been focusing on vulnerable households whose energy efficiency rebounds are expected to be higher than from other groups. So if they are going to be higher, are we actually reducing energy consumption or not? So based on this background, our hypotheses relate to the potential reduction in household energy consumption are the following. So we will be talking about trying to analyze that the installation or check if the installation of energy efficiency technical improvements in households is not enough to generate statistically significant reductions in the amount of gas consumed in the different dwellings when compared to similar dwellings that have not adopted them. Our second hypothesis will be related to the long-lasting effect of this, the gas consumption reductions, if it happens, does not last in time due to other mediating factors unrelated to the reduction potential of the measure adopted. So we know what is the reduction potential, but why this is not being implemented fully. The third hypothesis will be related with what I mentioned about the specificities of the UK process, the UK housing stock and the renovations. If all those households installing energy efficient technical improvement along other renovations in dwellings do or do not experience a significant reduction in gas consumption in the short to medium term. And four, the last one, which is related to the vulnerable households that I mentioned. Vulnerable households installing energy efficiency technical measures do not reduce their energy gas consumption. We will try to disentangle all these questions. And how are we going to do this? Well, we use quasi-experimental research design to try to analyze causal relationships with a staggered differences in differences approach. In this case, we will use as well dynamic treatment effects. For all those not familiarized with these approaches, I don't know your backgrounds. So the differences in differences approach is just an econometric technique that allow us to analyze two groups. one that has installed, in this case, the energy efficiency technology, one that hasn't installed the energy efficiency technology, and at the same time allow us to compare before and after they install the technology. And if there is actually a clear difference, double difference in time, but also with and without, after the adoption of the specific measure. So we use this approach. We analyze changes in residential energy consumption before and after the adoption of this energy efficiency measure with this type of event study design. The analysis includes household technical energy interventions subject to the energy efficiency programs that I mentioned in the first slide in Wales and in England between 2005 and 2017. In total, we have more than 55,000 households, and the data comes from the National Energy Efficiency Data Framework of the UK. We comprise two different interventions: loft insulation, cavity wall. There are many others, but these are the two that have more complete information. And to the best of our knowledge, this is the first study analyzing the energy consumption patterns or gas consumption patterns in the UK at the micro level, with a large panel of households. In total, we will have more than 700,000 observations. Not sure if you can see very clearly in this table, but we control, of course, I mean, these households are different in nature, so we have to control for some other variables that may, of course, influence the consumption in the household. For example, the simple one is the dwelling size, how big the house is. We will also control the age of the dwelling, because as I mentioned, in the UK, the housing stock is pretty old. So we have to take into consideration in which year approximately the household was constructed and the type of dwelling. We will take also into consideration the region in which the household is located, and we will introduce regional differences in unitary gas prices and in weather conditions to control for these regions. It's not the same a household in London in the south than in Manchester, which is much more in the north. We also account for the vulnerability of the households. This variable is not perfect, but it's the best we could get with this data set and matching with others, which is the index of multiple deprivation that is regionally and locally analyzed as well. So it's not related to the income of the households directly, but the average income of the household of the area in which the household is situated. So it gives us a proxy of how vulnerable the households are depending on where they are situated. And we will segment our sample to understand the role played by other renovations delivered alongside energy efficiency improvements and the vulnerability of the households to derive, as I mentioned, these policy implications that may help the UK to comply with its climate and energy targets. So, yeah, as you can see from this slide, we need to control, as I mentioned, for all those variables. You see the stars. That means that actually the treatment and the control group, being the treatment, the set of the group of households that have installed at least one energy efficiency measure versus the control, those ones that haven't installed energy efficiency measures, they are different in nature. So we have to take into consideration these variables in order to reach and be able to compare these two groups. For most quasi-experimental application wells here, I'm sorry, I just saw the number of households that have adopted some time of energy efficiency measure in the period of analysis. As per 2017, 18,930 households have received some kind of treatment, and the rest are part of the control group. So for most quasi-experimental applications of differences in differences, the method comprises, as I mentioned, two groups, the treatment and the control, with two periods, before and after. But in this paper, the installation of energy efficiency measures differs in time. That means that not all households carry out the improvements in the same year, but in different years. So the canonical approach, this before, after one group another of a differences in differences methodology, it's not valid for this. Energy efficiency improvements are implemented at a particular point in time that varies depending on the household at hand, and each dwelling will remain exposed to the treatment, so that will be constant afterwards. For a regular differences in differences, we would only allow for treatment heterogeneity effects in terms of some of the covariates every time that the household gets treated. But in this application, we will consider dynamic treatment effects, along with the possibility of having some also effects before and after the period of intervention. That means that we will try to see if there are anticipatory effects as well when the households are considering to put in place this energy efficiency measure, if they previously adopt and adapt steadily to this reduction in energy consumption. Well, this is what I explained here. The methodology was analyzed or developed by Cerulli and Ventura in 2019. They developed this estimation methodology for the case of a binary time-varying treatment. That means that they are different in time, with pre and post intervention periods. We will focus specifically on 5 years before and after the implementation of energy efficiency improvements. And as I mentioned, with this approach, we can not only analyze the effect of the energy efficiency improvement, but also if they have some anticipatory and delay effects. I will show much more of the maths here because I think it's more relevant if we focus on the results. So I will pass to some of the main results that we get so far. So that is the general, let's say, canonical approach. So without considering the distinction in the number of years, just before and after. So far what we see is that energy efficiency technical improvements in households are effective in reducing energy consumption on those households undertaking this measure. With a generalized differences in differences approach, which is what we are seeing in the slide, without dynamics effects at this stage, so this is a first step, we see average treatment effects of around or in the range of 6% for loft installations, and in this case, and around 12% for this installation. Okay, there is this reduction here. Fixed effects, random effects after the installation. However, a new challenging and policy relevant result arises, and is that these energy efficiency effects derived from the installation of technical measures fade away around 1 to 4 years after the treatment, after we put in place the policy. So the adoption, sorry, of the technical measure. That happens in T. Cavity wall insulations generate, for our preferred model, around reductions in gas consumption in the range of 6.9, 7.8% in comparison with the pre-treatment period. The effect shows a decreasing pattern of effective and effective reduction in consumption, but only a couple of years. After 2 years, there is a huge effect that leads us again to a path that is in increasing trend. For observed gas reductions in a second period, the treatment, as I said, already kind of reduces less to the extent of 2.6, 3.7. And after 2 periods, the effect has faded out, suggesting that behavioral interventions are as needed as technical ones if our goal is to get long-lasting energy efficiency gains. For loft insulation, they seem to be half effective than cavity wall installations, and we see reductions in the first period of around 4%, 1% for the second, 1.8% for the second period, around 0.8% for the third, and then loft insulation effects on gas reductions disappear. It seems to last a little bit longer than for cavity walls, but in the end, it fades away as well. I'm not going to stop on this because that's just the result that I just mentioned in terms of, you know, the coefficients. The graph was showing already that, so I will skip the specificities of the tables. One of the so we've tested the two first hypotheses. The first one is that there is a reduction. Yes, there is a reduction. The second one, it was, well, does it last in time? It seems it doesn't. We test the idea that the household installed energy efficiency technical improvements alongside other renovations do not experience significant energy efficiency consumption reductions. And what we see is that for those households, all the reduction happens during the first year. And both interventions are having similar impact with a reduction of around 5%, but certainly, again, it's not long lasting. However, the randomness on consumption in this case is mitigated to some extent after the treatment. So we see there is much higher variability in those households at the beginning here with conservatory, and then this tends to disappear a little bit. It's mitigated. And this result is of special importance for the UK, where conservatories, which is the type of variable that we use to analyze these other renovations, remains one of the most popular modifications to a property. Conservatories are these kind of glass boxes that work as extensions, like if it was a greenhouse, basically. Attention must be paid. Well, that was for, loft installation. That was for cavity walls as well. Attention must be paid to the fact that the impact of adoption of this measure varies considerably depending on the level of deprivation of the areas in which households are located. As I mentioned, particular lower effects on the poorest segment of the population, proxy by the quintiles, levels of the index of multiple deprivation by area, and this may provide a rationale to focus the attention on the barriers that may prevent the households in the lower percentiles to get potential energy savings. So for households in the highest deprived areas, the reduction are half of those in lowest deprived areas, with 2% versus 5% with this technique for loft insulation, and 4% versus 7% for cavity wall. On top of that, the medium-tier deprived areas are the ones that most benefited from energy efficiency reduction from a technical point of view. So that's good, but a lot of work is needed in the lower percentiles. We analyze that as well with percentile shares, the proportion of total gas consumption in this case, that goes to different groups, defined in terms of their relative ranks in the distribution when they install the energy efficiency measure. This is the type of technique that has been used by Thomas Piketty a lot in order to test inequality. And what we see is an increase actually in the consumption of energy of those households in the lower percentile. So we see here the difference is positive. They increase their consumption overall on average, while it's only the upper percentiles, the one that will experience reductions. That result is very relevant. As part of the robustness test, we also do some kind of propensity score matching. Well, this is the graph showing that. Propensity score matching before the differences in differences. So this propensity score matching allows us to match and put together the households that are very similar before we make the comparison. Then we analyze the propensity that they could install an efficiency measure, the probability that happens, and it's those households the ones that we compare. So we reduce the sample a little bit, and the results are consistent with what we have seen earlier. So just to start grouping up, this is the result for the propensity score matching. Just to start grouping up, what do we see? So the results in the paper confirm that energy efficiency technical improvements in households are effective in reducing energy consumption on those households undertaking such measures, but energy efficiency effects derived from the installation of technical measures are not long-lasting, and energy efficiency gains fade out around 1 to 4 years after the treatment. We test the idea that households installing improvements alongside other renovations in dwellings do not experience significant energy consumption reductions. This is only partially confirmed, as we find that reductions happens only the first year, but the pattern improved the randomness in consumption in those households with conservatories. So maybe it gives a better control of the energy consumption when they install these measures. And lastly, vulnerable households installing energy efficiency technical measures do not reduce energy consumption, which is confirmed, as those households in vulnerable areas experience much less reductions on average. In addition to that, those ones already in the lower percentiles of the population, of the income level, in the distribution of gas consumption, increases their consumption after the adoption of energy efficiency measures. So what are the policy implications? I always like to do this research. I mean, this research has no sense if there is not something we can learn or put in place in terms of policy. So what are the implications? Well, there is an impact of the adoption of these measures varies considerably depending on the level of deprivation, and therefore we need, while these policies then has been positive on reducing fuel poverty, the energy efficiency scheme are not effective in this segment in particular of the population, as they don't get the expected energy savings. And this is the original goal of these policies. So these measures are good to reduce fuel poverty, which is a very good outcome, but for certain segments of the population, they are not effective in the purpose or the original purpose that they have, which is reducing energy consumption. Therefore, given that we see as well that there is not a long-lasting effect in the reductions, we need to establish more tailored energy efficiency policies adapted to these individual characteristics of the households, and technical measures, while effective in the short term, needs to get into consideration we need to take into consideration additional policy support in order to foster these long-term effects that we don't see so far. So we hypothesize that the implementation of energy efficiency schemes consisting of a mix of regulatory instruments, like for example, tighter the standard for newly constructed dwellings and for renovations, with financial incentives, needs to be complemented with other type of what we can call soft instruments that allow us to educate or improve the behaviors of the people in households when they install these measures. That is part of a second paper that actually this is pretty much at the inception phase. We are putting in place a survey with UK households specifically to explore behaviors, because we see already technically this doesn't happen. So why is not happening? And we know it's not related with the technology itself. So we need to explore if it's related to other issues on the household. So, you know, most of these households in the UK don't have double glazing. It's crazy, but that's the case. It is related with people basically spending more time at home because they feel more comfortable. So therefore there is an increase in the energy consumption. We don't know that. And the only way we have to try to understand these issues are through qualitative research in the form of surveying households. That is the last bit, but before I leave, and just to open discussion for a bit, I wanted to share this with you. So I talk about the last scheme of the government, the Green Home Grant, that took place last September and was cancelled in March 2021. But the new, that was just published on Tuesday, the new UK net zero strategy includes for buildings and for residential sectors a new measure, which is 5,000 grants to support the installation of heat pumps. In this case, we are not talking about energy efficiency per se, we are talking about electrification. So basically, the government is going to give households 5,000 pounds to change their gas boilers by heat pumps. That is the policy so far. There is no more information about the the time frame, which type of households will be able to be subject to this. That is all the information we have. But with the information that I provided today, do you think this will work? I'm very much looking forward to hear your opinions. And that's it from my side. I hope you enjoy, and any question, comments that you may have, I'm more than happy to address it. Thank you.
Tema el micrófono.
You are mute, yeah.
I was close, yeah. So, yes, the first question of Aniga, our guest, says that, please, what exactly are energy efficiency installation or models installed in households? Are you referring to green building design or renewable energy installations?
In this case, what we have, it's only loft insulation, which is a kind of double type of insulation that is put on the ceilings of the households. So they cover the ceiling with a kind of a double type of insulation. The cavity wall is kind of similar, but for the walls. So basically, these are these two separate type of walls in the household, and in between there is this material kind of foam that is yellow and it's a little bit ugly that isolate and insulate the household from the outside. But we can be talking about many other energy efficiency measures. It's not particularly green design per se, while it's very important that they have mentioned this, because sometimes these measures don't work because they haven't been designed systemically, so they have been put in place independently, and the house doesn't work as it is because originally it was not constructed in that way. So when we talk about this energy efficiency, it can be double glazing, it can be creating or changing the boiler for a more efficient one. It can be changing the handles of the and the controls of the heating systems to make them more easy to use and more controllable to specific temperatures and so on. So this is what we consider energy efficiency measures. In the case that we analyze, it's only those ones related to heating and only these two, but there are different ways to do it. Renewable energy, the installation of solar panels could be considered a renewable energy, an efficiency measure, and we had some information about this, but very few households in the UK have actually installed solar panels, so it was distorting the sample a lot, and we couldn't analyze specifically this part. But that variable specifically as well is part of this National Energy Efficiency Survey.
Any other questions, please? Any other?
There is a hand, Akant, sorry.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you hear me? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Cristina Peñaso, for this wonderful presentation. I'm Tano Aka Lagi from Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou. According to the slide 3, the total final energy consumption of industry sector in the UK has 19, while domestic consumption has increased during the same period. Then my question is, how can you explain these trends when we know how much industry sector is higher consumer of energy?
So traditionally, thank you very much for your question. Traditionally, the energy sector has been much better in adopting energy efficiency measures, because they are much more aware as organizations of the cost reductions that they can experience with that. So the industry as well has been subject to much more a wider set of policies that have forced them to reduce this consumption. Like for example, in this case, the emission trading systems. So they have been able to introduce these measures or adoption of measures to reduce their costs, so they don't have to face higher costs associated with paying for emissions, pay for energy consumption, and so on. We can also say that during, I mean, this figure is long enough, but during the crisis, you see in 2009, Europe suffered this big crisis. There is a big peak here and a big peak in the consumption in domestic, because people were spending more time in their homes and less time, and there was a reduction in the production in general. So that is the trend. Generally speaking, the industry has been better in installing measures, because they are more aware of the costs that this implies within the manufacturing sector, let's say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I have another question.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. According to you, how can the energy efficiency treatment be adapted in African context when we know the low access of African people in energy?
That's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking me that. Probably the way to go in this case, so we are talking about this last part actually of the presentation. So if we think that many African countries don't have access yet to electricity, what we need is basically to give them access. So we are not talking about energy efficiency per se, but about reducing fuel poverty in terms of energy, gas consumption, or electricity. Many of the research that has been done, I'm not particularly or specifically focused in the global south, but most of the research that has been done for Africa is more about introducing off-grid type of renewable energy systems. So we empower communities individually, because they don't have to trust that the grid is going to work, or they don't have to trust governments that may or may not be corrupt or stable. So there is a lot of research on not energy efficiency itself, because there is a lack of use of this energy, or a lack of access to this energy, but about reducing fuel poverty through off-grid type of systems that can empower rural communities. And also there is a lot of research lately on empower women as well in developing contexts, or in the African region.
Okay. Any other question?
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Any other question? I had the pleasure to tell you, Christina, that this topic of energy efficiency was introduced in this seminar by our colleagues from ECOWAS, from the ECRI, is the Center of ECOWAS in Energy. And one of these E is efficiency, because they are very concerned by the issue. So your results, your conclusions are quite relevant. One from saying that it doesn't have long-lasting effects from one side, and from another, that is important because the conclusion of concerning the level of deprivation in areas in which households are located. So. Yep. And this is very important because it's a social issue, you know. So I'm wondering about the effects of the quality of buildings in efficiency. So it's very difficult intuitively. You can understand that it's very difficult to understand that a bad building or the private building could be efficient because you don't have materials. The buildings are not sufficiently qualified for being a good building, and so. And apart from that, there are different behaviors. At the end of your presentation, you were talking about behaviors, and behaviors is a tough question because you need to change behaviors, and it's not easy at all because people like to continue doing the same as always. So in short, could you comment a bit more about these three questions: lasting effects, the the private areas, and behavior? Because the three, in my opinion, are quite related. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is, I mean, I don't have yet results from our survey and so on, but this is something that, yeah, we are trying to disentangle. The long-lasting effects is all related to this, to behaviors. People that, you know, they have installed a new boiler that is supposed to be more efficient, but they are used to having the controls at a certain level, and then they keep doing exactly the same. So basically a boiler that is more efficient increases the temperature in the house, and then instead of reducing that, because they aren't used to that, they open the windows. So there is this dichotomy or divergence between the measure itself and the behavior that we need to take into consideration. And it comes as well as in a systemic way with the idea that you put about the quality of the buildings. It doesn't really make sense. And that's why I asked the last slide about the program of the government. It doesn't really make sense to give 5,000 grants to these households if we are not improving the quality of the buildings. With new buildings, I see there is a question about new buildings over there in the chat. With new buildings, it's easier because there is already building codes that don't allow to construct buildings in a certain way. But the main challenge of the UK is this old housing stock. Houses here are a mess, I can tell you. I mean, I've been in colleges here in Cambridge. They have the systems below the windows open. That's bad. And we will see during this COVID or post-COVID period more of this, because we are all working with the windows open in order to have ventilation in the rooms and so on. So it's all interconnected. It's a system, and this is what we are trying to see. Because it's a system, the long-lasting effects is not happening because there is these behaviors effects, but also there can be some technical measures related to the quality of the buildings. We need to think of systemic ways to put in place policy mixes that act at these 3 points at the same time. And we are not yet there. That's clear. So that is what we need to disentangle in the next phases of the research, but also how to communicate with policymakers that these type of measures that they are using are not going to change the system. Are very good to sell a message for the government, but it's not going to change the system per se.
Another question, please. Let me think, because I'm wondering about also is another challenge for research, I know, but for example, the shape of the city matters for this question, because it's not the same to have dwellings or houses concentrated or spread. So the influence are absolutely different, because there are concentrated, there are scale effects, scale economies effects, and otherwise you cannot get it if the houses are sprawled, you know.
Urban planning in that sense is very, very important.
Right.
And I mean, I haven't done research particularly on that, but I was in a conference a couple of months ago, and they were looking at, I was in a presentation, they were looking at these effects and also at the differences that you can experience depending if you live, of course, in a house or in a flat, but if you live in a flat, if you live in the ground floor, in the first floor, in the second floor, in the third floor, because the two floors in the middle are hotter than the other two floors just because of the heating effects of the rest.
That's true.
So there are many issues related to design of the buildings and to design of the cities, above all when we are also considering measures like district heating in all this. If we are going as well to a model that is more district heating than only gas or individual gas boilers, all these design elements of the urban planning, it's very important. Yeah.
So only one last question is here written. In UK, are these energy efficiency methods adopted for new buildings?
Yeah, so most of the codes, building codes now, force the constructors to do this, to install these measures and to have a certain level of energy efficiency, at least in paper. So there is a system of energy efficiency performance in buildings. And also, if you have your dwelling and you are going to sell your dwelling to another person, you have to comply already with certain level of energy efficiency performance. So with new buildings, as I mentioned before, it's a little bit easier because there is a regulation that don't allow them to do something different, but something that is less efficient. But if we are talking about renovations, it's much more complicated because there is not this framework, and putting only one measure, it might not solve certainly the problem, and sometimes it can even make it worse because it makes the household more humid if it's more warm inside and there is no double glazing. And so it's at least here in the UK, it's a little bit tricky for all buildings. For new ones, is simple because you can use always regulations to avoid the lack of this measure in certain buildings from the start.
Okay, thank you, Christina. The audience is asking if your slides are available for using, because they have to write an essay about.
Yeah.
Are they available?
Yeah, so I send the slides and I send these two papers. The only thing that I ask is just you use it from your own research and don't spread it around or anything like that outside, because it's work in progress. But that's the only thing that I ask, that you keep it for yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, and keep in touch and keep doing so marvelous research and go on.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It has been a real pleasure.
It's a pleasure as well. Thank you. So now we are continuing to the next presentation. So let me see. Let me see. Sergio, are you there? Sergio. Sergio, are you there or not? I'm trying to. Alba is there or Laura?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, I wonder about the Sergio. Sergio Luján is our next speaker, but I didn't I don't see him.
Yes, I'm looking for him, but I don't see. I didn't see.
I'm looking to my emails, but yes, he should be here. He's not in the list. Or
Chema,
sí,
pásame el correo.
correo, vamos a ver. Vamos a ver. His name is Sergio, and he's already sent. Ya te lo he enviado. Sergio Luján. ¿Te llegó?
Ahora.
Le estoy llamando a la empresa también, a ver.
Vale.
Sí, ya estoy en contacto, he hablado con él.
Sí.
Y se va a poner ahora. Él pensaba que tuvo un problema de horas, creía que era a las 12.
Ah, vale. Vale, sí, le había mandado por correo, si no, el enlace.
The next presenter is arriving because there was a confusion about the time. It was that his presentation was at noon, but he is already connecting to be in touch with us. So sorry for this inconvenience. Laura, en cuanto se conecte, tú lo puedes detectar aquí entre los nombres,
Sí,
¿no?
sí,
Sergio,
sí, sí,
Sergio
sí.
Luján, S. Luján.
A ver. Espera, que se ha quedado. Ya está aquí.
Okay, Sergio. Okay, good morning, Sergio. Thank you very much for being here with us. Are you listening? Are you listening to me?
You're mute.
You have your micro closed. Would you mind opening it? Sergio, would you mind opening the micro? Otherwise, we cannot hear you.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Great.
Okay, thank you so much for you. I would like to say sorry for all of you because I thought that it was at 12
No
o'clock.
problem.
It was a mistake from my part.
No
I
problem.
would like to apologize for the delay.
Don't be concerned. It's okay. So we are. I introducing you.
Okay.
Sergio Luján is technical director for GFM. GFM are the abbreviation of photovoltaic generation of La Mancha. La Mancha is a region in Spain, one of the 17th autonomous communities. So, and GFM is a very outstanding company at an international level. Is a company very internationalized, and in fact is present in Senegal, working in Western Africa. So, Sergio, your presentation is on photovoltaic solar energy, isn't it?
Yes, okay. We will talk about our experience in photovoltaics.
Right.
So I will share my screen, and I will show you the presentation.
Okay, great. I pass you the floor.
Okay, wait a few seconds. Okay. Okay, I will show you the presentation. So
what you can do is if you have your presentation on your screen, click on the arrow.
Yes. Do you see the presentation now?
Not
Yes.
yet.
Wait a moment. Here, I think it's okay.
No.
Do you see the presentation?
Let me see. No, not yet. Yes, that's it. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me. Okay. Well, thank you, Jose, for your presentation. Good morning, everyone. As I have said before, I want to apologize for my delay. And okay, my name is Sergio Luján. I work for Generaciones Fotovoltaica de la Mancha, and we are a specialized company in Spain in renewable energies. For us, it's a pleasure participating in this kind of events where we can show all the advantages of PV technology. Okay, for this reason, I would like to say thank you to the organization for giving us the opportunity to participate in this seminar. This presentation will consist on explaining our company and how PV systems have helped us to grow up during the time, okay? And we also will explain how PV system has helped to our clients to improve their lives and be more efficient and renewable, okay? So this is our history. Generaciones Fotovoltaicas de la Mancha is part of a group of companies focused on environmental sustainability. So we are placed in a village near to Madrid, which name is Villacañas. We are more or less 100 kilometers away from Madrid. And this is an important point because we work in a local area. This is not a big city, so it helps to create job in a local area to improve and increase the economy of this local area. Okay, at this moment we are working near of 30 people, but it is expected to have more and more projects and products. So we are open to look for people, to hire people in a near future, okay? We work in a very important sector, so energy is very important. So despite we have a pandemic like COVID, we were demanded for more and more solutions. So our company grew up during last 2 years, and I think that that's something that shows that we are doing properly the things. So we are working very well, and we have good results. Okay, so as I have said before, we have a company which belongs to a group of companies which was born in 2000. Okay, this company is called Generaciones Eléctricas Alternativas, and it was born with the aim of doing the promotion of wind energy plants for feeding into the grid the electricity which was generated. So in 2004, we started to work with photovoltaics. We started to do the promotion for PV plants, and that's the date when Generaciones Fotovoltaicas de la Mancha was born. At the beginning of our life, from 2005 to 2012, we did the world promotion of PV plants. Okay, so we asked for the permission to the electrical company, to the government, which is a very, very hard task. Here in Spain is very, very complicated, and well, we very good doing this. And we also did the engineering for the project. We also have installer to install the PV modules, the inverters, and we did everything to give to the client a complete solution. It was very appreciated by them. So as GFM doesn't want to finish a project, to take the money and leave from the client's lives, we offer them an operational and maintenance services. In this way we can be close to the client during all the lifetime of the systems. Okay, so we make two kind of works in this area, because we help to the clients when there is a change on the regulatory or rules in Spain, and we make the preventive and corrective works. So if something was wrong, we can repair the fault. Okay. In 2013, it was a very crucial year in Spain, because all our traditional business was in danger, because some regulatory changes appeared, and it was complicated to install more PV system in Spain for feeding into the grid. So we tried to develop new solutions related to photovoltaics in order to being alive, because there were really hard years. So we started to do self-consumption systems. We made the first self-consumption system in our community. Okay, in Spain there are several areas we call comunidades autónomas. So the first one in Spain, in Castilla-La Mancha, which is our community, was made by us. We started to make self-consumption system connected to the grid in every modality. Okay, but we also started to work with off-grid systems, developing hybrid systems between photovoltaics and diesel. Okay, and this was the perfect solution for many farmers here in Spain, because they are placed in remote areas. Even they are placed in Spain, but they are far away from power lines. So this kind of solution is very, very, very profit for them, because they can have the payback in 2 or 3 years. The numbers are amazing, believe me. And we started in this way, working with off-grid system, and we also developed some solar pumping system, which are very appreciated by local people here near to our facilities, because there are a lot of field for agriculture, so they can make irrigation using solar. So it's a very, very good solution for them. Then we try to go ahead with several solutions related to photovoltaics. So sorry. I don't know if you listen to me or not.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Perfect. We are listening to you.
So we started to do portable energy package solutions. Okay, which are what we tried was to keep inside a sea container several devices for enough resistance. So we got an European project by the European Commission, which is an inbox project, which was our first experience in innovation projects. Okay, and it was it helps us to improve our products, and we started to develop several solutions with several sizes in order to make this portable energy package solution for going to Africa and Latam and helping to fight against poverty energy. So we have worked in Ethiopia, in Senegal, and we have worked with NGOs, with local governments. So was an important step for us because we could have another business line for improving, okay, improving and for reaching to many people all over the world. In this way, in 2015 we started to participate in national fairs. We continued working with several research and development projects. We get some important certification for us, which is the ISO 9001 rule related to quality, and ISO 14001 certification about environmental practices. And we could be a member of the board of director of APA, okay, which is an important company in Spain, institution about renewable companies. So we work in the circumcision section, and all those things made us to win a project for the United Nations. So they were really they fell in love with our portable solution. So we have teach them about how they can size this kind of solution, how they can build these kind of solutions, and the results has been very good. So as we are now an international company, as Jose Maria has said, recently we have opened an office in Senegal, in Dakar, to be present in Africa and to make our solution more attachable for African people. We have created a foundation to show renewable in school, high schools, university, to teach people, for teaching people to understand the invoice, the electrical invoice, to show them in order to improve their lives. So, which is our secret? Okay, I think, in my opinion, our secret is we have a very qualified team. Okay, we have a very complete team. We have people for everything we need to develop a project. We have people in the engineering office, okay, designing the system, sizing the system. We also have electricians for installing. Okay, so we are really in contact, the ones who are installing with the ones we are sizing the system. But we also have some administrative people for trying to do all the legal aspects which are needed for doing this kind of projects. Okay, and we try to work with quality and innovation. So, as I have said before, we have been recognized with these certificates, which makes us to reach to more and more clients and and making our clients feeling comfortable when we work with them. We work we work all over the world. We are also a member of Alliance for Rural Electrification, whose work is very important, because they are working very hard in trying to make accessible the energy from all the people in the world, especially in those countries where it's more difficult. Okay, so we work very hard with them, and is an important part of us. We are very proud in working with them. So we try to show everything in fairs, in national fairs and international fairs. So we have several references about our work, about how is our innovation activities and our social engagement. So you can see some articles in a web of the Spanish government, or in the web of the Alliance for Rural Electrification, where is shown how we work and how photovoltaics can improve the lives of people. Okay, how renewable can improve the quality of an electric system, and how can we make possible to have electricity all over the world, because it's very accessible solution. So here you can see our solutions. We can develop charging point for electrical cars, and we can combine with photovoltaics. As I have said before, everything which is related to sustainability is an objective for us. Okay, we want to help to people, to society, to make an more renewable world. So we think that the electrification is essential for a clean future. So the electrical car is also essential for attaching all these objectives. So we try to combine two clean energies like solar and electrical cars for offering to our clients and to show how can they work together. Okay, we make self-consumption system in all the modalities. Okay, not only a system connected to the grid when you install your PV modules and you take advantage of the energy you produce and you avoid to buy from the grid. So we can go to off-grid system, to isolated areas for electrification. So hybrid systems are really appreciated, pumping systems, self-consumption system, and believe me that it improves quite a lot the life's quality. I only explain one example in one of our off-grid systems we have developed. A farmer was used to work with a genset, so they only had electricity when the genset was working, and it was at the beginning of the morning and at the end of the evening when they were working with the sheep and cows they had. So he said to me that when he was working, the genset was always producing noise, and he couldn't hear the birds in the field. So he could be in a more relaxing environment, in a clean environment, and he could have electricity during all the day, so they could live in their farm. So they didn't need to go to home at the middle of the day to having lunch, because they could have lunch in their farms. And instead of in addition to increase the quality of their lives, because it was more comfortable, because they didn't have to travel from one place to another for doing several things. They also were saving money, so he was really happy. Okay, so that's an example, because I know that all the companies work for earning money. Okay, we cannot say the opposite. So, but if when you have finished a project, you see your clients so happy, you see your clients feeling so comfortable, so understanding how renewable energy make them their life easier, it's a double price for us. So we are really happy because we can work in something which make people happier, and that's fantastic, believe me. Okay, as this is an example of solar parking we have in our facilities. Okay, we have PV modules to give shadow to the cars when we are working, and we have an electric recharging point. So, for example, my boss has an electrical car, so he can travel by free thanks to the sun, because using this pergola can make travel by three or four cars during all the year, everywhere they want, because the amount of electricity which is produced with the PV modules is the same that is needed for 3 or 4 electrical cars during all the years if they make 100 kilometers per day. So this combination is fantastic, okay, because we can help to reduce the contamination which we have in the diesel cars, okay. If we little by little change traditional cars by electrical cars, and we combine with renewable, we can make we can help quite a lot to reduce the contamination. Okay. A lot of industries have realized that the future is related to photovoltaics for making self-consumption. Okay, self-consumption is something which in Spain was born more or less 10 years ago, more or less, as I have explained before, and they know that they can save a lot of money using PV modules, because the electrical bill is increasing and increasing, and with PV system they can save a lot of money. And in addition to it, they are renewable companies, so as a marketing tool is fantastic for selling product and for being in accordance with the politics we have in Europe, in Spain, and in Spain. Okay, this is a very, very useful solution for the residential sector, because as I have explained to the industrial sector, all the advantages are the same. And one of the most important advantages of photovoltaics is you can install from very small system to very big system. So there is a solution for everyone. Everyone can have a solution from photovoltaics. Okay. We can make shared self-consumption. Okay, we can design some systems to make that two neighbors or two houses which are close one to each other can take advantage of one PV system, and this is a very, very useful solution for example, some buildings where we have flats where they don't have a roof, and they can serve the energy produced by photovoltaics. We can also have a solution for isolated places where we don't have a grid connection, so using PV modules and batteries, and we can have electricity for 24 hours per day, and if you want, you can combine with a diesel generator, which can help us in in the small amount of days when there is no sun enough to produce the quantity of electricity we need, okay? But it's not the same to make a genset working 24 hours per day during all the days in a year that if the genset only starts 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 10 days per year and only for a few hours, okay? But it is possible to combine. Here is our solar tracker of our Sandbox project, okay? This solar tracker can be kept inside of a 20 feet sea container, so we can reach to a place and we can have electricity in 5 minutes with a plug and play solution. You only have to put on the ground the container, everything is installed inside, all the inverters, batteries, everything is tested, everything is configured, and you only have to extract a solar tracker which has wheels, and you have a complete solution working only in 5 minutes. We have several sizes. This is Sunny Trailer, which is a smaller one, okay? And we have the smallest one, which is an trolley, where we can keep all the devices inside a trolley. So according to your needs, you can choose one or the other for having electricity. And we realized that electricity is one of most important things for people's lives, but the other one is potable water. So we have integrated an atmospheric water generator inside of a container. So when we go to Africa or to Jordan or for refugee centers or to those places where it's really difficult to reach, we can have electricity and potable water thanks to a complete solution like this, okay? So I think that it's perfect for that people. Here you can see when we ask to our clients if they are happy or not, almost everyone says that they are really happy with this kind of solutions. We make another services like this one, engineering projects. If they are not related to photovoltaic, it doesn't matter, we can do, but we are specialized on renewable. But it's not a problem if someone have a problem, and if someone has a problem and they come here and they explain to us what they want, and we will do the best for trying to solve this problem. We do the maintenance of solar plants and we do consultancy services. So I think as I have been late, it's near to 12 o'clock, but here is more or less the same. Here it is explained how it works in these business lines. And okay, this is probably our what make us different, and what we try to explain to people why we recommend to work with us. We offer solution which makes you saving money. We have an integral service, so we are from the beginning of the project, and we can be until the end of the lifetime of the product. So we are close to the client during all the lifetime. That is quite important. We try to work with very efficiency, with improve your economical numbers. So here you can see another project we have developed is, in addition to Sandbox. We have made the project Julia, that is another energy package solution we have developed. The Sunny Trolley we have explained before. The United Nations consultancy we have explained before, and this is our last project, okay, which is a solution we have installed in Jordan in a refugee center. We installed there a PV system and a water generator. So in this center are living childs which are I don't remember the word in English, sorry, but from child from Syria, which don't want to be in the war. So they are in the refugee center and they have electricity thanks to the photovoltaics we installed, and they have potable water thanks to the water generator we installed. So apart from the economic results, okay, that is not the most important. What really makes us happy is to have a solution with improve their lives, okay, and it is possible using something clean, using something that helps to our planet for not producing more contamination. So it's really good for us. Here you see the company, GFM. This is the foundation we have presented some weeks ago, and I have explained you before. And as we go to schools, university, and we have to show or to teach people how photovoltaics works, we have this other business line, GFM School. So we try to train people in every area related to photovoltaics, to self-consumption, of resistance, solar pumping, how to sizing, how to understand which is the most appropriate solution in a certain place. So that's what we do. We also do. And the foundation, you can see a picture when we were in Ethiopia installing the Julia solution, where we try to not only to take the solution and install it in Ethiopia. We try to teach local people to manage the system. We want we want to make that people independent. The most independent they are, the happiest we are. So here you can see some some partners we have, and that's all. That's our contact. I don't know if you have a question. I expect not having been very boring. So thank you very much for all of you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sergio. It's awesome. I'm very impressed for your work in very different contests. either in Spain or either in Africa, in different countries of Africa, Senegal, Ethiopia, and so on and so forth, and also in different countries, urban countries, rural or remote areas. So I'm wondering about the how you are able to adapt or to innovate. Do you innovate following or getting more and more efficiency in your project by your own experience to your own project, or to have a research and development department in
Yes.
your foundation? Yes, I asking for a bit more information about this aspect. Thank you very much.
Okay. I have had some troubles with the noise. I don't know if you have asked me something, Jose Maria.
Are you listening to me?
Now, now better than before. I have
Yeah.
some noise
So
and
I can repeat briefly. What I said is your company
Yes.
was able so far to work in very different contexts.
Yes.
Rural areas, remote villages, in different countries, Senegal, Ethiopia, in Jordan for Syrian refugees, and so on and so forth. So you are able to adapt the project to
Yes.
the needs.
Yes, of course.
How do you do that?
Okay, pues, first of all, we have to listen to the client. We have to listen to the client. We have to listen what they need and how we have a very experienced staff. We know a lot of possibilities of develop a project for solving for having a solution. So it is very important to understand what the client needs. It's important to understand what is the technology we can use for helping them. And I think the most important thing is to understand which are the things the client needs, because if you understand this, you can adapt the solution for that. We don't want to have a very close product, and if it is okay for you, it's okay, and if it's not okay, it's your problem. We have some products which are, according to our experience, is are very common in several scenarios, but this helps us to probably be a little bit faster to finish a project, because we have several solutions for the most common need problems we have heard before. But we always have to listen to the client, and if they need something that it cannot be solved with a solution we can adapt our solution to the client's requirement. So it improves, it helps us to be better than day per day. So I think that we have to understand, because and when you go to these areas you realize the difficulties they have because we are here in Spain and we have a lot of possibilities for doing things, but when you are on the field, when you go to mission and you see the problem they have, you are really concerned about it. So you have to you want to understand them very good, because it will help you. It will help you to decide a solution to solve the problem they have. But you always have to listen to the client requirements and the client problems and trying to give them a solution to improve their conditions.
Okay, thank you, Sergio. A new question, please. Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Sergio. I'm Tano Aka for the International Institute for Water and Environment Engineering, Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. I have two questions.
Yes.
Before, thank you for your wonderful presentation. According to the different slides you presented, your company does a wonderful work in the solar energy sector. I noticed that in Africa, you only in 2 countries, in Ethiopia and in Senegal.
Yes.
Then I want to know why your company hasn't yet a project in the Sahel country like Burkina Faso or Niger, which have a real solar power potential due to the regular installation. This is the first question. I don't know if you understand
Well,
what.
we are open to work in every country in Africa. Okay. Where we try to find a local partner, because Africa has a lot of countries, so we now have presence in Senegal, and from Senegal we try to write to be present in every country. So everyone who needs something and want to be in contact with GFM, we are really pleased to be in contact, to study the possibility, and there is no problem in working in any country. We are open to this, so we have to listen to you, for example, to listen to your problem. We have to study if we can help to you. And if we can, we will try to do what is needed for developing the project. So I think that in the presentation you have the email and the phone number. If you or every one of you need something, okay, you can be in contact with us, because we are really pleased to work in every country in Africa. That is the reason, because we have opened an office in Senegal, because we want to be present in Africa. We want to show the solutions in Africa. We want to help to African people to improve their lives. So now we have worked in these countries, but we want to make in more and more countries. So it's not a problem at all.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to know your opinion about
Yes.
the future of photovoltaic energy in Africa, especially in the West Africa countries like Burkina Faso, Senegal, or Niger, which had a real solar potential.
Sorry.
This is
Yes, I have listened that you wanted to know my opinion about something, and I have some trouble with the connection. Sorry. Could you repeat the
oh,
question, please?
okay. I will repeat it. Uh, I, I thought that I want to know your opinion about the future of the photovoltaic
Ah,
energy, your fields in West African countries like Burkina Faso, Senegal, or Niger.
okay, yeah. Thank you. Yes, I think that it's a a very interesting tool. Okay, for for this kind of countries, because unlikely they unfortunately they don't have there are a lot of areas which are not very well electrified. So I think that photovoltaics is a solution which is what which can give you a solution from little system from big systems. So it's a way to make accessible the energy everywhere you want. So the prices has decreased quite a lot during the last 10 years. Okay, I think that the price today is more or less 9 or 10 times lower than it was 10 years before. So now it's the moment to try to bet for photovoltaics in order to do microgrid and doing rural electrification. I think that it's a very interesting tool because sometimes these remote areas is quite difficult to then to have access to electricity to power lines, and using photovoltaics you can install small systems, okay, using distributed generation, and you can make accessible electricity with a reduced amount of money if we compare with the other way.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Sergio,
Okay, thank you very much.
for your useful presentation. Just for ending, a reminder, you already received a message for your essay. So it's just to give three recommendations for this essay of the course. First, the essay should be focused on the main applications to your country or the lessons learned in this course, in this seminar. Reading of the docs presented by our guests is recommended. Second, the extension of the essay cannot overcome 1,500 words. So this is the limit. And third, the essay has to be sent to the organizer by the 8th of November. Yeah. If you have any question, let us know by email. And please check your email because for more details. So thank you very much and good job.
Okay, okay, thank you very much for all of you.
Okay, so keep in touch, and we are very happy for your attendance, for your audience, and I think we can do a great job, and keep in touch. Bye-bye. Have a good day and a good weekend.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.